Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to meet you. We are students from Instituto Arosemena. We are in an English week. We are assigned to learn about New Zealand. My name is Janelle Archibold and my partner is
María de Hermoso.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. We would like to know a few things about your country and would like to start with. Where in New Zealand are you from?
Okay, so good afternoon. My name is Aaron O Donnell. I was born in the capital of New Zealand, which is Wellington, which is in the North Island, the southern part of the North Island. But when I was 2 or 3 years old, we left there and moved to what I consider my town is called Wanganui, which is a small town on the west coast of New Zealand, population around about 40,000 people, and all of my family and all of my grandparents and all of my cousins and everybody, they all live and come from Wanganui, and both my parents come from Wanganui. It's a very beautiful town, quite a nice tourist town, and has one of the largest rivers, longest rivers in New Zealand, flows through that town. So the river is very important to my hometown.
What's New Zealand's official language?
New Zealand has 2 official languages, well technically 3 official languages actually. English is an official language, but some people say it's not really English, but it is an official language. And Maori is an official language, which is the native language of New Zealand, and international sign language for the deaf, for people who can't hear, is also an official language in New Zealand.
Could you tell us about New Zealand tourist place?
Tourist places in New Zealand, everywhere in the North Island and everywhere in the South Island. The whole of New Zealand is a tourist place, but the most famous tourist places, some of the most famous tourist places in the North Island, in the centre, is around a place called Rotorua and Taupo. Taupo is a very large lake, and Rotorua has much thermal ponds, boiling mud baths, and it smells really bad, but people love to go there. In the South Island, Queenstown is one of the great places to go, and has, in the summer, there's lots of activities for jet boating on the river, doing the famous bungee jump. That's very famous down there. One of the first bungee jumps in the world was down in Queenstown. And in the winter it has access to all of the skiing and the mountains, so it's a very, very famous tourist place. You should go there as part of this week.
New Zealand traditional dishes, which one is your favorite one?
So for food in New Zealand, that's a difficult question because we eat now a lot of food from all over the world, different places, lots of different types. We have Italian food, a lot of Asian food from Thailand and Vietnam, a lot of influence from the UK as well. So traditionally, for a family in New Zealand, I think you'd probably, from my experience growing up, maybe a roast dinner with carne, usually the most famous lamb, because lamb is the most famous meat from New Zealand. And for dessert would be a dessert called pavlova, which is like merengue, soft, and that was invented in New Zealand. And don't let anybody from Australia tell you anything different to that.
Culturally speaking, what are New Zealand's outstanding traditions and activities?
We have I mean, the most important activity probably is rugby. That's a tradition and a culture, and New Zealanders take very seriously rugby. We love to play that. We're always playing that at the beach, at the parks. We always see everyone with a rugby ball. One of the other famous traditions is throwing. We have every year a gumboot throwing competition, or botas de goma. We throw those gumboots in a place in the North Island, and that's very famous. We also have a lot of traditional celebrations associated with the indigenous people, Aboriginal people of New Zealand, the Maori. So they have a lot of very strong traditions, and all of our official traditions, official ceremonies. We always have a tradition which will involve some of our indigenous people tradition. The most famous one is the welcoming, which involves the haka, which is a war dance by Maori people, and that's a very strong tradition in New Zealand. And we use that in lots of things, in sport, in schools. So that's really a strong tradition for us.
What's New Zealand most known import product, and what do you think export most?
For import products in New Zealand, we import a lot of machinery and equipment, vehicles, and maybe electronics, and maybe clothing, textiles. Because all of our export products are things we grow. So the most important one is dairy products. We produce a large percentage of the world's milk and milk products, milk powder, cheese and butter. And then after that will be meat and wood, are the other main ones that we export. And then another thing that's really important now is we export technology for production of movies in the cinematic industry. Quite leading in that field.
What does the flag designs mean?
The flag, this one up here. So this flag is the flag design was based on this quarter is the Union Jack, which is the flag of the United Kingdom. So because we are what's called a constitutional monarchy, and we're still part of the Commonwealth. So that represents the UK, and the constellation of the stars is the Southern Cross, which is the most important star formation in the southern hemisphere, and that's how the navigators found their way to New Zealand originally, following that, using that constellation of stars.
Tell us about New Zealand main tribes.
Main tribes. So okay. So in New Zealand we have the Aborigine or indigenous people are the Maori. So they are the main our main tribe, and within New Zealand their tribes there's many different tribes which are actually from different areas. So each, just depending which the area is from, they're called the tangata whenua of that area, and that'll be a separate tribe. So the Maori are the main indigenous people. We also have a lot of people from all of the South Pacific Ocean, from all of Polynesia, but the main obviously Maori, and then the people who settled there from within Europe.
Anything else you would like to share with us about your country?
Well, I think the things best to share is from New Zealand is probably to share in person, so you need to visit and go and see it. It's It's a very natural country. We're only a small country. Very friendly people to go and visit when you visit there, and lots of beautiful natural scenery all around. So yeah, a great country to see firsthand.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Gracias.
Thank
Hola.
you.